could have resolved and shouldn't have come here. And just yesterday, Chair, when I got this, and I asked Public Service Management Division just to provide me with a list of the deployment of these ministries. And Chair, with your permission, I can circulate the list. I asked the officers to photocopy that list. And just yesterday we asked, and by the end of the day the list was given. And I'm asking myself, how can a controlling officer fail to get this information over a period of time when they are given this? But it's something that is internally that we are going to address, Chair. And I wish just to update on the basis of the document that we have, if you could allow me, Chair, just to update the response, Minister of Gender, Minister of Chiefs and Traditional Affairs, Minister of National Development Planning, Minister of National Guidance and Religious Affairs, Minister of Higher Education, and Minister of Works and Supplies are the dissolved ministries. And the list shows that the total initial number of employment was 1,876. 1,838 have been deployed, and 38 have not been deployed, and the 38 are from the Ministry of Chiefs and Traditional Affairs and Ministries of Works and Supply, Chair. I submit. Thank you.
Thank you, ST, for submission. Honorable colleagues who move to the Treasury Minute. That's a submission from the PS, from the ST on Minister of Finance on payroll issues. So ST will proceed to the Treasury Minute. You can proceed and make your submission.
Thank you very much, Chair. And this is the report of the Auditor Generals on the audit of government payroll for the year ending 31st December.
We can deal with the other one, then the payroll will be the last one.
I deal with the other one.
This the other one, yes, the main report.
The big one. Thank you very much, Chair. So this is the report of the Auditor General on the accounts for the financial year ending 31st December 2021. And it talks about the Part 1 preambles and paragraph 1 to 8 that I will be responding to, Chair. And the first paragraph, Chair, is just the introduction, and the Auditor General basically just talking about the mandate and the powers which they use to do the audit, which we take note, Chair, the Constitution, the Public Finance Management Act, the Audit Act, and those, Chair. The second one, Chair, on paragraph 2 is the scope of the audit. Again, the Auditor General is basically just telling us the scope of the audit and the institutions that were audited during that period. Again, Chair, we just want to respond that the scope coverage of the accounts that were reviewed have been noted. The third para, Chair, is the audit methodology. Again, just saying that obviously they use the risk-based audit, and we acknowledge that that is the best approach that should be used to make sure that we reach out to the areas that are more riskier, and we cover them in the audit. The fourth para, Chair, is talking about constraints, and the first one is the staffing level, and the Auditor General is talking about the improvement in the staffing levels, but not yet reached the optimum levels. And again, Chair, we just wish to commit that we'll be working with Cabinet Office and Public Service Management Division to make sure that in the scarce resources that we have, we prioritize some of these functions, the audit functions. We already have said we'll prioritize the service delivery functions to make sure that we have the staff even when we are limping in other areas. The next one, Chair, is talking about the transport. Again, they are talking about the challenges of the transport, that the vehicles that they have were bought between 2007 and 2015, and most of them have aged and they need to be replaced. Chair, just to take note and say that we endeavor to provide the support, and just beyond the government resources, we are working with the cooperating partners to see how best we can help the Office of the Auditor General to make sure that they implement the audit functions effectively and efficiently. Then next, Chair, is the information and communication technology equipment. Again, the Auditor General is basically updating that they have gotten some support, that however they still need for more support in this area, Chair. And again, we are just saying that we'll continue to support and see how we can make sure that the Auditor General's office functions effectively. The paragraph 5, Chair, is talking about the audit and reporting process. Again, they are basically talking about the 3 processes that are involved. The first stage is where the preliminary query is issued to the controlling officer, and the controlling officer is required to respond within 10 days. And the second stage is the entry management letter, where the controlling officer is given a maximum of 15 days to respond. And then the last stage is where they do the draft annual audit paragraphs. Again, they give 3 days for you to look at the paragraph and to confirm that what they are reporting in that paragraph is factual according to the discussions that way. And this is where Chair was saying that there is an opportunity for controlling officers to try and address some of these. Only those where they don't have the responses or they don't have the facts and the information should be able to find themselves here. It doesn't make any sense where the Auditor General has the opportunity, gives us, oh, these days, 15 days plus 10 days plus 3 days. And only when we come here do we now start providing the evidence of the question they were asking. We should be able to provide this information, and this is, I think, what we will ensure that the audit reports going forward should have, and controlling officers will be able to be answerable for not providing the information if that information was needed, because it doesn't make sense for them to fail to provide the information to the Auditor General, only to provide the information when there is an audit paragraph here. Chair. I just wanted to emphasize that point. Paragraph 6 is the governance structure. Again, the Auditor General is talking about the governance structure. Currently, that cabinet is the supreme policy, and then we have got the Republican president and vice president and cabinet ministers being part of the cabinet, and then we have got the portfolio ministries being headed by the ministries, and going down the portfolio ministries, then we appoint the controlling officers that take charge of that. Again, we just want to confirm that we agree with what the audit report has highlighted. Paragraph 7 is talking about audit, management, and the Auditor General is basically saying that the operation of ministries, provinces, and agencies is the responsibility of the controlling officer, who is appointed by the president. And just to add, Chair, that when the controlling officer, the Constitution provides that the president appoints the PS, and among the PSs that are appointed by the president, that the secretary to the Treasury then appoints the controlling officer among those PSs, and that is what we have been doing, Chair. Paragraph 8 is information and communication technology, Chair. And our comment, Chair, is starting on page 8, and we basically are trying to provide some of the ICT systems that are in use in government. In the Ministry of Finance, we have got the Integrated Financial Management Information System. This is the system which is used for the administration of financial transaction in all the MPSs. And we have also got the payroll management and establishment control system. This is what we are talking about in the morning. That is basically responsible for the payroll management and control. And then we have got the debt management and financial analysis system, the DIMFAS. This is the system that is used for us in the debt management and payment of debts. And this system is interlinked between the Ministry of Finance and the central bank to make us effectively do the debt payments, because these are supposed to be paid on the day that they are due to be paid. In the Ministry of Agriculture, Chair, we have got the Zambia Integrated Agriculture Management Information System. This is a web-based application that is used for the administration of the farmer input support program activities. In the Ministry of Lands, we have got the Zambia Integrated Land Management Information System, Chair. This is a system that is used in the administration of land, billing of properties, for ground rent, and receipting of revenues, among others. In the Ministry of Home Affairs, passport office, we have got the personalized passport system, and this is the system basically that we use for passports, whether it is normal passport or diplomatic passports. And we also have in the Ministry of Home Affairs, under the Department of Immigration, we've got the Zambia Immigration Management System that is basically used to facilitate entry and exit and the processing of visas. And in the Road Transport and Safety Agency, we have got what is called the EZAMTIS, and this is the system that we are using for collecting, receipting, and recording of revenues. And then in the Zambia Revenue Authority, we have got two systems. One is the tax online system that is used for administration of domestic taxes, and the other one is the Askuda World, which is used for administration of custom duties. Then under the National Road Fund Agency, we have got different systems that are basically used for collection of toll fees. One is the Yasen Toll Management System, and the other one is the NECO Toll Management System, and the other one is the EFCON Toll Management System, and the other one is the E-Toll Management Information System. All these systems are the ones that our colleagues in the National Road Fund Agency are using to collect the toll fees as we are crossing the toll gates. And then finally, we have got the WBX and the AXO loop system that is basically used for weighbridge and collection of weighbridge fees, Chair. Under paragraph 61, recommendations, Chair, the audit observed that in order to improve financial management and ensure that ministries, provinces, and agencies are operating within financial management and accounting framework are set out in the Constitution, in the Public Financial Management Act, in the Public Procurement Act, and the Appropriation Acts, and any other laws. And the recommendations that were made, Chair, are the following. One is the recommendation to adhere to the relevant laws and regulations. And Chair, we wish to report that the responsibility to collect, receipt, bank, and report on tax and non-tax revenues is delegated to ministries, provinces, and other agencies. And we have cited the laws under which this mandate is provided in the Constitution, under the Public Financial Management, under the regulations, in the estimates of revenues and expenditure that we normally provide at the end of the year. And from time to time, Chair, we issue Treasury and financial management circulars to make sure that the guidelines are provided. And we will continue to do that, Chair, to make sure that we effectively manage this. But also just to say, Chair, that on a quarterly basis, we do provide revenue monitoring and revenue reconciliation just to make sure that the revenues so reported to be collected are reconciled and we don't miss out on those revenues, Chair. The second issue, Chair, was the need for establishing and maintaining an effective, efficient, and transparent system of financial and risk management, as well as adequate and robust internal controls, Chair. Chair, what we have done besides those systems is to create a platform that facilitates provision of government services online, and this is what we call the government service bus. So we are now providing this system, the government service bus, in most of the institutions. Now we have got Ministry of Agriculture covered, we have got Ministry of Lands covered, we have got Home Affairs covered, we have got RATSA covered, we have even linked the ZRA with the IFMI system to make sure that there is integration in the collection of that. So those are some of the support programs that we are doing to make sure that we remove human intervention and we bring efficiency and effectiveness in resource mobilization. In terms of under C, Chair, managing public resource prudently and safeguarding them, again, Chair, we think we have got enough provision in the Public Financial Management Act and the general regulation that provide guidance to ensure that all revenues collected are safeguarded and managed properly. In addition, Chair, the Treasury ensures safety of revenues through centralized procurement of receipt books and safes, which are issued to MPSs as and when they need that. So the Accountant General takes charge of that responsibility so that they can serially record all the books that are given, and in terms of the safes that they can be able, so that if any of them is tampered with, we can have a record immediately and see what that temptations could have been. D, Chair, is talking about taking effective and appropriate steps to collect revenues due to the government that is under the controlling officers or the MPS's charge. Again, Chair, as I indicated, that we take the provisions of the Act and we empower the controlling officers and the different MPSs to collect these revenues, and we ensure that we undertake monitoring of these activities to ensure that what is being collected is being reconciled and any discrepancies are being followed up to find what causes those discrepancies. Sometimes, Chair, the discrepancies would come because some of the cash would be in transit. On the government side, you have shown that the money has been deposited or has been receipted. On the bank side, the money is still transiting because there is a time period provided. But also, Chair, there are instances where it won't make sense for the revenues receipted in some remote areas to be taken to the bank on a daily basis because of the amount of the money that is being receipted vis-a-vis the cost of transporting that money. And this is one of the areas where we are looking at how best we can make sure that we have those reforms in those areas that are efficient and effective, that the money is safeguarded and goes to the bank, but it is done so at an efficient and effective way. Under C, Chair, prevention of irregular and wasteful expenditure, misapplication of funds. Again, Chair, here we are saying that one of the reforms that we have taken is this online platform called the Government Service Bus, where we are making sure that there's no human intervention in this. And there we have listed 11 ministries or institutions that have been connected on the government service bus, and we are pushing that all services that government provide to the extent possible should be provided through the e-platform so that we reduce human intervention. F, Chair, is taking immediate effects and appropriate disciplinary steps against erring office holders in the ministries or departments under their charge, Chair, and Again, we have got the provisions of the Public Financial Management Act that basically provides disciplinary steps to be undertaken by relevant MPs against government officers that abrogate provisions of the Act. The Civil Service Disciplinary Code is applied against such officers, Chair, when they are found. Again, there could be some lapses here and there, but we think that if we were strong in this area and lead by example, and others then will be able to fear, because we have created that example, and we'll make sure that no one fails to abide by these provisions. G, Chair, is talking about immediate and appropriate action on internal and external audit recommendations. The Treasury will ensure that internal and external audit recommendations are actioned promptly. And Chair, I was just giving an example in the morning where the internal audit in March brought an audit to me where they are talking about possibility of ghost workers on the payroll, and immediately we engaged and started working with the external auditor. That led to the forensic audit on the payroll, and some of these are the interventions that we undertaken. So we have got a lot of forensic audits that we are doing because of the reports we are receiving. The internal audits obviously report will come to me, and some of them that we can provide immediate solution, will be able to intervene and provide immediate solution. For this one that we reported, that we went with the external auditor because we realized we didn't have the capacity and we needed to work with the external auditors, and this is why we took to the external auditors. So, Chair, I can assure that we will continue to make sure that we work closely with our colleagues to reinforce ourselves and make sure that we achieve this. The number 2, Chair, is the general revenue collection by appointed agents on behalf of the government, and that they should be, those revenues should be promptly remitted to the consolidated fund. Chair, we have facilitated transmission of revenue through the Treasury by opening revenue transit accounts with commercial banks for depositing revenues collected by appointed agencies. Revenues collected through revenue transit accounts are remitted to the consolidated fund in accordance with the service level agreements that we sign with each of these commercial banks. So we sign service level agreements and we review this, and the following year, those that do not perform, we then would be able to not consider them. Those that perform, then we'll be able to consider them accordingly. And we are hoping and we are seeing that there is some improvement, especially when we compare with the previous years. Number 3, Chair, is controlling officers should ensure that there is strict adherence to procurement procedures and all contracts provision, Chair. Chair, this is one of the concerns we have, and sometimes we have received challenges of controlling officers or MPSAs not procuring, saying the procurement regulation or the procurement system is so stiff. And every time we go through the procurement system, Chair, and personally I was controlling officer in the Ministry of Finance 2012, 2015, I never had any challenges with the procurement. The only challenge that we see, Chair, sometimes it is again human in nature, and probably working together with you, we can find solution to this. Sometimes it's human in nature, where a procurement is supposed to be done. Sometimes the resources provided, 3 months, 4 months down the line, nothing has been done. And now we reach a crisis period, then someone comes and says, we don't have time, let's do a single sourcing. And it justifies single sourcing then, and then they go for single sourcing. Chair, the Act is very clear. The default mode of procurement is the competitive bidding procurement. That is the default mode. And that mode ensures that you have got the right price, the quality of goods, and the timely delivery of those goods. And you choose from there. The procurement actually provides that in an event that you have got circumstances that would not allow you to use the default procurement, which is competitive bidding, you would go into the selective, you would go into the single sourcing. Now, Chair, probably one would ask a question, why would probably let's just do away with single sourcing? Now, there would be circumstances where, for instance, there's a cholera outbreak all of a sudden, and we need to find medicine and cure, and we need to mobilize. In such instances, Chair, we need to have provision in the law that will allow us to be able to mobilize immediately and do that. But what we have seen is that controlling officers will take all their time, and on the last minute, then they say, we need to single source, we don't have time, and let's do this. And in that, we lose out the three principles that we are talking about: the right price, the right quality, and the timely delivery of the products. Chair, it's something that we'll be able to continue looking at, but we'll make sure that probably one of the issues, and I was saying this when I was in school, there was a system in America where they were saying name and shame. Probably we'll even go to a point where we are saying, in this period, who managed the procurement under competitive bidding? And we list the institution. Who failed and did single procurement, and we list them. And I'm sure probably when we go into the next period, those that did single sourcing, they will be guilty and say, everyone knows that it is me. That they call it name and shame. Probably we'll have to reach to that level, but we'll surely have to find a solution so that the default procurement mode is the one that we use to get the right quality of goods that we have, Chair. Under 4, Chair, controlling officers must ensure that all assets under their charge are properly secured and insured. Chair, again, there is the provision in the Act that talks about security and insurance. And I can tell you, Chair, that in 2022, we saw a lot of title deeds that were being processed, and we saw them because all the title deeds are processed in the name of the Minister of Finance, and then we'll be able to give them to the institutions that they own, but their all title is held on behalf of the government by the Minister of Finance. And we have seen a lot of them, Chair. We still could have some that have not, but we have seen an improvement, and we are very sure that going forward, most of these properties will be on title deed. On insurance, Chair, again, it is the mandate, or it is the responsibility of the institutions or the MPSs to make sure that their property, movable and unmovable property, are insured. And if they are not insured, they must take the responsibility. And Chair, for this, I wouldn't even agree that someone would come and say they didn't have the money. It doesn't make sense. These are very low costs. The money that they receive is high. It's just a question of prioritizing and ensuring that they do that. And again, Chair, the people that are responsible for this should take charge to make sure that the properties are insured. The last one, Chair, is controlling officers must ensure that all taxes and other statutory contributions are deducted and timely remitted to the respective institution. Chair, this is one of the bigger challenges that we have for centralized government, for those that we pay under the central government. This is done centrally by the Treasury, and the taxes and other obligations are transferred. But there are those, sorry, Chair. There are those institutions, state-owned institutions.
Rest, you can take some water, then you can proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. So, Chair, there are those institutions that have their own budgets, and most of them fail to break even. And we have also have those institutions that we support. We give them grants, and most of them we have seen that they will end up paying the salaries and the statutory obligations. The resources won't be there. Two very peculiar things, Chair, observation that we have made. When you go to most of these, almost all of them, their salaries are better than the government salaries. So even when we increase the resources, what normally would happen is that they will take those resources to increase their salaries, and they will say they don't have. And if it's purely on the basis of poor funding, some of them probably should have had poor salaries than the government, mainstream government salaries because of the poor funding, but still continue to have this obligation. But we have seen this is very rampant, Chair. I can be lying to you, Chair, here if I say we have got a solution for this, but what I can promise is that we are working to try and find a way of how we can ensure that these state institutions provide, how we can ensure that the board of directors that we provide, that are appointed to help us run these state institutions, Chair, are accountable. And one of the issues that we are proposing and we are doing in the Ministry of Finance, Chair, is that instead of having just the controlling officers to appear before you for even the sins that are committed outside them, there is a board of directors that sit and make a decision, and when the decisions are wrong, you call a controlling officer who sits there, who doesn't literally on a day-to-day supervise the board of directors. We are trying through the treasury reforms to give them sub-warrant ownership, so that then you can be able to reach out to them through that arrangement, and they will be able to be answerable for themselves, Chair. Chair, I thought I could end here, and we'll be ready for if there are any questions, follow-up questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, ST. For the honorable colleagues, that's a treasury minute submission for the main report. However, we also still have a payroll, but payroll is 3 pages, and ST can summarize this, and maybe we can come and just question. If you look, we can look at the payroll one. I think it's very small, so maybe we allow quickly ST to submit on the payroll. Then all we remain with is maybe the questioning. So, ST, you can proceed with the payroll.
Thank you, Chair. With regard to the payroll, again, we are talking about paragraphs 1 to 7. Paragraph 1, again, is just the introduction, Chair. Paragraph 2 is the scope and methodology of the audit, which I can just say we take note of and we agree. Paragraph 3 is the reporting process. Again, Chair, is the same process that I talked about. Paragraph 4 is the governance. Again, is the same issue that I raised, and we take note of that. Paragraph 5 is the management. Paragraph 6, they are basically just talking about the information communication technology, and basically looking at what are some of the modes that are in the PEMIC or payroll management and establishment control system. And we are talking about the modules, 5 of them. The organizational management module, which is used for the maintenance of organizational structures. The second is the personnel administration, used for maintenance of payroll information. The third is the personnel cost planning module, used for conducting personnel cost planning. The fourth one is the payroll management module, used for the payroll processing. And the fifth one is the technical support module, used by the information communication and technology staff to provide the support, Chair. And we agree that these are the modules that are in the system, and we'll come and have the discussion on them. Paragraph 7, Chair, is the internal controls. The Audit General is talking about the weaknesses that they have observed in the internal controls, and our response, Chair, is that the weaknesses in the internal controls are noted, and the Treasury is already orienting all the staff involved in this process in the public financial legislation to ensure that they are abreast with the public financial management legal framework that will result in enhancement of internal controls. In addition, Chair, the Treasury issued Treasury and Financial Management Circular number B6 of 2019 and B8 of 2020, reminding all controlling officers to manage their respective payrolls, Chair. My colleague from PEMIC, probably at an appropriate time, will come and update you on some of the training programs that are doing and how many people they are trying to bring on board to make sure that everyone abides to that, Chair. In terms of the audit recommendations, Chair, first, Chair, is on the non-compliance with the laws, regulations, terms and conditions of service for the public service and seculars, Chair. And the audit recommendation is obviously that we enhance this, and our response, Chair, is that we note the recommendation and that Treasury has already embarked on sensitization of officers in the workflow processes. In addition, sensitization workshops in public financial management frameworks or legislations are being planned and will be undertaken even in as we proceed, Chair.
Sorry, ST,
Yes.
we seem not to have page 4 in the submission. Secretariat, page 4. Just check. You have page 4?
Do you have a clean copy? You can give it the Chair.
That is for payroll. I think you can proceed, ST. We don't seem to have any page 4 in our submission, but you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. So there are two issues on page 4. One is the non-compliance with the laws, regulations, terms and conditions of service for the public service and seculars. And Chair, I'll just go through all of them since you don't have. And the audit recommendation is that there is need to promote adherence of these through sensitization of employees, easy access by staff to seculars, regulations and laws, enhance supervision, and implement sanctions as prescribed. And we take note of this, Chair, and what we do is when we issue the seculars, Chair, we always ask controlling officers to bring the seculars to the attention of all the staff under them, and probably what we'll do, Chair, again, we'll try to put a mechanism that gives us a feedback whether the staff for all these institutions, they get these, whether it is law, whether it is seculars, and obviously through that we are going to enhance supervision. The second one on page 4, Chair, is failure to update the establishment register. And the recommendation, Chair, is that the establishment register must be updated in a timely basis. Human resource planning and all recruitments must be supported by Treasury Authority. Chair, first when I got this, I was very shocked because every year when we are presenting the budget, when we are doing the estimates of revenues and expenditure, and we provide the PE figure, as we are bringing the budget documents to Parliament, we also bring the establishment register every year. For the 15 years that I was in government, we did that. I'm very sure for the 7 years that I was out, we did that. Even last year when we were presenting the 2022 budget, we did that. So every year we provide that. And I was very, I didn't understand when the audit was saying that this is not provided. So we provide it once per year at the beginning of the year. Now what happens is that when we are preparing the 2024 budget, Chair, I just wanted to explain this. When we are preparing the 2024 budget, we'll look at the payroll for the 6 months, January to June. that forms the basis that we are going to say this is the payroll that we have. Now, if a position has not been filled for the 6 months, that position becomes frozen because it won't have the backed resources until Treasury Authority is given. If the position is filled in during this period, it means that position will be backed by resources and it will be provided. So if the controlling officer has got a position that is not filled in, and after we prepare the budget, they come with that, we will not give them because we don't have resources, we didn't budget for that. And the rule is that before that position is unfrozen, the Treasury should give the Treasury Authority to unfreeze that position. So we can only unfreeze it in the following year when we have got resources, or when, if we can do a supplementary, when we do a supplementary chair. So then we go to page 5, Chair, the segregation of duties on input and processing of payroll transaction. Again, Chair, probably let me not spend a lot of time. We talked about this in the morning where I was talking about segregation and how we are even bringing some of the directors on board and making sure that the controlling officers supervise. The next one is lack of review of activities performed by super users. Again, we agree that there was that shortcoming, and that with this workflow process that we have established, Chair, there will be this oversight and there will be this, because at that time the super user was alone. They would enter, they would change. There was even a point where if I'm seconded to an institution and I'm supposed to be removed from the payroll and I'm supposed to be paid from the institution that is seconding me, the super user will just change the bank account. The money doesn't come to me, and therefore I am very sure I've been removed. But the money goes into another account and the super user will start accessing it. So this, again, we are making sure that we are going to address. Employees with voided accounts for extended period of time, Chair, and they were talking about timely processing of disciplinary cases, locking up of payroll accounts as opposed to voiding, Chair. The recommendation is noted. The Treasury is working on, in collaboration with all service commissions who have decentralized the HR operations to district levels so that we can speed up, especially on this disciplinary cases that are being undertaken and decentralized. The next one, Chair, on page 5 is failure to perform monthly payroll reconciliation. And Chair, we note the recommendation, and we are developing a template that will be used in carrying out these monthly reconciliation, and going forward to ensure that the payroll is reconciled on a monthly basis. What we have realized is that sometimes it's not just the lack of reconciliation, sometimes is the capacity, especially after movement of staff. And when we provide that backup to these institutions, we provide the templates, we provide the forms, and we try to give the backup, we are very sure that we will not be able to have these challenges. But more importantly, Chair, like we said before, that now it will be mandatory for controlling officers to do monthly payroll reconciliation and submit those reconciliations to the Treasury, and will be able to monitor who is not submitting those reconciliations. And the last one, Chair, is poor implementation, budget control systems, configuring on the PEMIC system. Chair, the recommendation is noted, and the Treasury has constituted a steering and technical committee to spearhead the reforms in the payroll management, which will, among others, ensure that system enhancement configuration is done. And I did indicate, Chair, that we started with a temporal steering committee to look specifically at the forensic audit, and with the lessons we have learned there, we have realized that probably we need to have this establishment that would be able from time to time to be able to look at this and make reconciliation to the Secretary, to the Treasury. I submit, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, ST, for the submission. Honorable colleagues, that's a submission from our Secretary to Cabinet, to Treasury on government payroll from the Auditor General's report. We've basically looked at 3 submissions. The other one is the report on the payroll period of 2017-2021, which ST has submitted. To that effect, ST, we are very grateful for your submission. However, looking at time, ST, and that we've labored up and down to the committee, I think it's a committee's agreement that we probably do the questioning on Monday, so that we can look at these submissions critically. So ST, unless you have any submission.
Thank you very much, Chair. If I were to plead, Chair, Mondays normally are cabinet meetings, and I attend cabinet, and we're presenting some cab memo from the Minister of Finance. I would request that probably any other day, because I don't know what time cabinet ends on Monday. Thank you.
That's true. Thank you, ST. Honorable colleagues. So we'll push it to Tuesday, ST. Thank you so much. ST, thank you so much with your team. We are most grateful for coming before this honorable committee. ST, let me take this opportunity to now lift the immunity which was conferred before you. That has been lifted, and we do appreciate your coming and some of the interventions you are taking to mitigate some of these issues. We'll see you on Tuesday. Thank you so much. Thank you.